Are you considering moving to Everett, but you have no idea about any of these areas, any of these neighborhoods where you'd possibly want to live at? Well, no worries at all. Today, I got you. I'm going to break down all of Everett, all of the neighborhoods, and just analyze the whole community for you. I'm going to pull up Google Maps. I'm going to walk you through each one of these different neighborhoods within Everett because they each have a different feel, a different vibe, different strengths, different weaknesses. So hopefully by the end of this video, you know exactly which part of Everett you want to live in, and maybe more importantly, which parts of Everett you don't want to live in as well. I'm going to share with you the average price. I'm going to share with you the best restaurants, the things to do, and just things that you should know from a local insider of each of these neighborhoods. Stay till the end of the video, and I'll share with you my absolute favorite neighborhood in Everett. And it's one that I've personally actually lived in. I'm not just telling you this as a real estate agent, but it's actually somewhere I've personally lived with my family. Okay, so stay to the end for that. If this is your first time on our channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the button for the bell as well, that we get notified as we release new videos. We break down all of the different markets within Snohomish County, all 19 different cities at a very, very deep granular level. So we are your resource for information, far more than just real estate, but everything that's actually happening in the communities and in the neighborhoods that you would want to know about. So go ahead and smash that button. That way you get alerted to each one of our new videos. My name is Mike Novak. I'm a real estate agent for the Novak Real Estate Team, part of Real Brokerage. My office is actually in Everett as well. So this is an area I know super, super well. Our team is the #1 ranked team in Snohomish County going back to 2018. And we help about 250 families each and every year make a move right here in Snohomish County. This is where we live. This is where we work. This is our market. I'm excited to share with you today. Let's break it all down and jump right in. Okay, so first things first, a lot of our clients that buy in Everett, they actually work in different areas. Some of them work in, for Boeing at Payne Field. Some of them work down in Seattle. So I just kind of put up on here the distance from Seattle to Everett. Like that's probably like the furthest away that you would want to live if you're considering that commute on a daily basis. Like if you were really going to drive to downtown Seattle, Everett might be like the furthest north you want to go to keep that drive within reason. So you can see like right now I'm shooting this video around 8:30 in the morning. So it's kind of like peak traffic time. And you can see that it's about 45 minutes and it's 36 miles from downtown Everett right into downtown Seattle. So it's not short by any stretch of the imagination. But as we kind of like zoom in more on Everett, you can kind of see a little bit more of what's around Everett as far as cities goes. I've done videos kind of breaking down these different areas, but of course you've got the Mill Creek area to the south. You've got Mukilteo out here on the water. Everett kind of like bleeds into Mukilteo. You've got the downtown Everett area up here, which is the historic area full of like older houses. And then you've got Snohomish off to the east side, like rural Snohomish. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of it. I-5 does cut right down the middle of Everett, so just kind of be aware of that. This is kind of like the west side over here that will include some view options, and then it's kind of the east side over here, the Eastmont area and places like that. Okay, Payne Field right here is where Boeing is located, and it's also an airport that has commercial flights going out of it. So they've got some destinations that are definitely worth knowing about because it can save you a lot of time if you fly quite a bit or if you just simply don't want to go down to SeaTac to fly out. You're looking at like a 5-minute security line. Every time my wife and I have flown out of Payne Field, it's been a really great experience. There's a restaurant right there. You can sit there and have a glass of wine, just wait for your flight. They've got like 2 terminals, and then they've got some other planes on the tarmac that you have to like, go walk up kind of like a ramp to get into. So typically there's like 3 to 5 flights departing at a time out of there. Alaska flies out of there. And I want to say there's one other carrier as well, but we always go Alaska for flying out of Payne Field just because they've got some of the best connections. Some of our favorite destinations for Payne Field: Las Vegas, super easy flight. Phoenix, of course. You can get to Orange County. You can get to San Diego. These are all different places. They are also starting a direct flight to Honolulu. So you've got access to Hawaii as well, and you can get up to Anchorage, Alaska, as well as a few other spots as well. So that's kind of, a big benefit. Payne Field has not historically done commercial flights. This is something that's new in the last like 5 years. And for us local residents, something that's pretty awesome because we don't like driving down to SeaTac to have to fly out of anywhere. So just kind of be aware that is where Payne Field is at. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start kind of breaking down the locations for you. But before I do that, I just want to kind of give you a little bit of context for real estate prices right now and kind of where the market's at. So Everett has a couple of zip codes. You've got 98203, you got 98204, 98208, and you're going to find different price points depending on where you're looking at. Okay. So like if you're in the more expensive, like higher end area, like the 98208 area where it runs into Snohomish, like Silver Firs, you're going to see much more expensive homes. You're also going to see more expensive homes as we come into Mukilteo. Mukilteo is a much more expensive housing market than Everett is. And a lot of Mukilteo is view properties being like right there on the water. Okay. So just be aware of that when you're thinking about pricing. The average home price in 98208 is about $790,000. And the average home price in 98204 is more like $650,000. And the reason why it's cheaper in 98204 is there's like this big area off of I-5, like before you get to the nice Mukilteo area, that's just not as nice. Like it's a fine area, but it kind of blends commercial with residential, and it's not necessarily like the higher end neighborhoods of Everett. It's perfectly fine. I've sold lots of houses there. My clients love living there. It's just not as high end as other places like Silver Lake and Silver Firs. Okay. So dropping right into our first area, I'm just going to show you the Bayside area. It's right here in Everett. It's really close to the naval station, and it's right where like kind of all that new development is happening. Like the waterfront redevelopment that you hear referenced in Everett is all happening down here. And so Bayside is very, very close to that. You're going to find like the historic Rucker area and some very nice historic homes in this location. It's walking distance to a lot of restaurants and bars and things like that, just because of its very central downtown type location. Okay. So the Imagine Children's Museum you can see is like right there. And it's definitely a big attraction. I've shot some videos from that, and our kids love going there as well. Top restaurants, they're going to be like Kate's Greek and American Deli has got some great reviews and is really good. Chocho Bakery, they make really good bread there, like sourdough. They serve their bread actually over at LJ's in Lake Stevens, which is like one of our favorite bistros. So kind of cool, keeping it local. They also have At Large Brewing, which has a really cool like kind of brewery environment over there. Fun place to hang out. Our team, like our real estate team, has gone over there and had beers together. Kind of awesome. Parks, obviously, like the Bayside Park is really well known just because of the location. And then for groceries, Snow Isle Food Co-op, which is like a natural grocery store, is in the Bayside area, and a lot of people really like that. Think like Whole Foods kind of style, but maybe not as expensive. And then for schools, the Everett High School is in that area. So that's like obviously one of the bigger high schools around here. You can check out its ratings on greatschools.org and see if that's something that you'd want your kids to go to, if it would meet your requirements for schools. But that's the Bayside area. Some very nice view homes, like in particular, like in this area, like where Rucker is at, is really, really nice. If we kind of just like zoom in here even just a little bit further, there's Rucker Ave. Most of these properties have beautiful views off the backside. Okay. And a lot of them were like early 1900s builds. So Rucker, Colby, Broadway, all very famous streets within Everett. Okay, so we're going to hop real far south, like from one end of the city to the other, and talk about Boulevard Bluffs next. Boulevard Bluffs, you can see my cursor just kind of hanging over there. It really blends into Mukilteo, like it's right on the edge of Mukilteo. And you can see the famous Lighthouse Park and the Mukilteo Ferry Terminal are right there. It's a very busy ferry terminal. It takes you across the water right there to Clinton on the island. So you got really good, easy access to Whidbey Island there, and you can go out there and go check out all the different areas up there. Like Langley is a really fun kind of older town to check out if you're out there. But zooming back in on Boulevard Bluffs, just a really nice area. Like you're going to see a lot of nice view homes in this area. You're going to want to have a higher budget for your house, like $800,000 plus for sure if you're looking in this area. Some of the best restaurants, like definitely the Lodge Sports Grill is good, fun place to catch a game. It's got kind of like a sports bar environment, as you can probably pick up by the name. They got great burgers as well. Our family really likes it there, so that's worth checking out. If you go down actually into Mukilteo, which is really close to Boulevard Bluffs, you'll have some other options down there as well. There's a handful of restaurants down there that are definitely worth checking out also. So some of the parks and activities, Edgewater Park is something to be aware of. And then Boeing Activity Center is also something that you want to be aware of. There's a lot to do in that area. There's just some like really beautiful parks that are worth checking out. You can see Harborview Park is like really close to the Ridge-Madison area, but it's also close to Boulevard Bluffs as well. So definitely a beautiful area. You just need to have a higher budget if you're going to buy a house there. Okay, next up, just kind of keeping this in alphabetical order, is going to be Cascade View neighborhood. So I'm going to just kind of zoom out a little bit for you. You can see Cascade View neighborhood is right here off of I-5. Just kind of something to be aware of. That's I-5 kind of cutting things right down the middle. And so you just kind of want to know about that. You've also got, the Boeing Highway up there, 526, and you got Evergreen Way. So you're like kind of sandwiched between like all these different busy areas. It's one of the reasons the real estate prices are quite a bit lower in this area. If you zoom in a little bit further, you'll see that Everett Way is like basically the dividing line between Twin Creeks neighborhood and Cascade View. Cascade View is the neighborhood to the north. Twin Creeks is the area to the south. With Everett Way, there's obviously a lot that comes with that. There's still the Everett Mall. It's not what it once was, of course. It's still an okay mall. It's just not like anywhere near Alderwood and Linwood, of course. There's a lot of plans to possibly redevelop that area into condominiums, into like an urban village kind of vibe, like kind of blending retail and urban living. But right now, nothing's actually happened with it. But there's some good restaurants up there. Like a lot of chain type restaurants are in that area, just to kind of be aware of that. There's Crucible Brewing, which is like a really like kind of nano brewing company that's in Everett that is really good. Actually, they're very dog friendly. You can bring your dogs there and they just love that. So kind of cool. They have some really good beers there if you're into that. Bigfoot Java is there as well. Crucible and Middleton are the two breweries you definitely be aware of. One of the cool things about this area, it's one of my personal favorites, is there's a Trader Joe's. Like if you want reasonably priced, healthy food, Trader Joe's is definitely your go-to, and it's right off Everett Way, so it's really easy to access. It does get busy in there, and the parking lot can become a zoo, but if you want your Trader Joe's fix, that's where you're going to find it. The school is just Emerson Elementary is in that area. That's like the only one to really be aware of. And of course, as you can kind of like see like on the map here, so this Floor and Decor, this is like where the Everett Mall is. And then you've got Trader Joe's right there. And you've got a really big Walmart right there, like once you get off the freeway. When you get off the freeway, there's a Bob's Burger and Brew that's located right there, which has like really good burgers. Definitely worth checking out. You've got Best Buy and some shopping. Regal Cinema is right there by the Everett Mall also, which is like a really nice big theater that a lot of people really like. But you can just kind of see like all these different type restaurants that are, around here. So just something to be aware of. There's a lot of dining options in this area if that's something you're into. The walkability, I wouldn't say is awesome. Like obviously, you got like the park up here, Cypress Lawn Memorial Park, but a lot of these neighborhoods you don't really want to like walk through necessarily to go to like a restaurant, just because Everett Way is super busy and that's where everything is at. You'd probably want to drive there. So just kind of keep that in mind. Of course, Flying Squirrel Trampoline Park is right there, which kids love. Don't miss out on that if you're in this area to go check it out. Okay, next up, we've got the Delta neighborhood. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see where Delta's at. It's basically like the furthest north you can go in Everett. Okay, so it's going to be north of downtown. It's off of I-5, like it's west of I-5, but it's right there. Okay. So you're going to see a lot of older homes in this area as well. A lot of people like this area because of its easy access to Marysville, and also to the Everett waterfront. So like you can get from here just by going down 529 right over to the naval station right there. Very, very easy. And if I kind of like zoom out just a little bit more, you'll see that 529 actually connects you right into Marysville. And it's usually not bad traffic to get right up into there. So a lot of people like that part of it. As far as like restaurants goes, Ray's Drive-In is not bad. 7th Street Pub, I mean, not bad. Like there's no like amazing restaurants in this neighborhood. If I'm being totally honest with you, there's just some places that are okay, if you will. Safeway is right there. You can see it if I hover over there. That's kind of like the one big thing of note. There's a Country Farms as well, just to be aware of that. There's a couple parks, Wiggums Hollow Park and Langus Riverfront Park are the two that you should be aware of that are in this Delta neighborhood. So this Delta neighborhood, like if you kind of imagine this like as kind of like the finger right here, there's kind of like a ridge going down the middle. So you can't really see a lot west on the Delta neighborhood. Most of the Delta neighborhood is pointing towards the mountains in an east-facing like kind of view, if you will. So just keep that in mind. But it is a beautiful area. Like some of the best mountain views from Everett of properties are in that neighborhood. There's some newer townhomes and things like that are over there as well. Definitely worth checking out. But your walkability in Delta is going to be very, very low. So keep that in mind. Like if walkability is important to you, probably not the area for you. Okay, next up is the Evergreen neighborhood. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit for you. So here's I-5, 526 is the Boeing Highway, and the Evergreen neighborhood is right here. So you're going to have Westmont to the south, you're going to have View Ridge-Madison to the north, and Pinehurst Beverly Park, which is a beautiful area, to the east. I'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. Evergreen is kind of like a small area, not like a massive neighborhood. It's not super walkable either. It's what I would say is just kind of like a mediocre neighborhood. Like if you can find a home in here you like, it's perfectly acceptable, but by no means is it like an exceptional standout when it comes to Everett. And the reason why is just the location is not as good as some others. The walkability is not as high as some others. There's not like restaurants that are super walking distance to where you want to go. So it's not as desirable to a lot of my clients. Like it's okay, but it's not like a standout, just to be totally honest with you. A couple of restaurants, if you're hungry in that area, Curry's, Wasabi Factory, and Billy on Gourmet Burger. Definitely some options to check out. Again, none of them are like top restaurants in Everett. They're all just kind of fine, but things you should know about. And then, of course, aptly named is the Evergreen Middle School in that area as well. You're going to see some lower home prices in this area just because it's not one of the most like desired areas of Everett. It's not bad. It's just not at the top of most people's lists. So if it's what you can afford, by all means, go for it. It's going to be perfectly acceptable. It's just not going to be like the top neighborhood in Everett. Okay. Next up on the list is Glacier View. And here's kind of like an idea of where Glacier View is at. I'll just kind of zoom out a little bit to give you some context. You can see that historic North Everett is up north of this and the Painfield area is south of it. Okay. It's going to be like right off of I-5. There's quite a bit of, there's like some natural barrier between I-5 that's there in the form of a like hill almost. So that provides some protection from the interstate. Like you don't really hear it too much there unless you're right up against it. Like one of those houses that backs up to it. But within Glacier View, it's kind of like a mixed area because when you go down, I'll just kind of like zoom in for you here. When you go down to Evergreen and Colby, like these are busy roads that kind of intersect the Glacier View area. And then the neighborhoods themselves are a little bit more quiet. So not a bad area. It's a really good area for commuters because you got quick access to get to I-5. Like you can pop right up here, 41st, boom, hop on the I-5 corridor there. There's a Safeway grocery store. Totem Family Dining is kind of like a legend in Everett for like greasy type cafe dining. That's actually really delicious. So totally worth checking out. There's Nace Hardware down there, and there's also the YMCA. So definitely lots worth checking out. There's a couple of gyms too. There's the Planet Fitness gym, which is pretty large and could be worth looking at. And then of course there's the Lowell Elementary School as well on Lowell Park. So that kind of collectively makes up the Glacier View area. Again, it's right between Evergreen and I-5, so it's a busy area. But some of those neighborhoods are a little quieter once you get off the main drags, and they can be really good for a commuting location potentially, and also to keep your price point down a little bit. Next up is the Holly neighborhood. So like we're kind of looking in this area, like you can see I-5 is to the east over here. Then you've got Highway 99, and then there's Holly. So Highway 99, there's a lot of like transient activity off of Evergreen. So just be aware of that. Evergreen and 99 are the same thing, by the way. 99 goes all the way down to Seattle. It turns into what's called Aurora Avenue. And there can just be some serious sketchiness as you get closer to that. So just be careful when you're looking at homes in that area to make sure the crime rate is going to be at a level that you're acceptable with and happy with. But this is the Holly area right here. There's a couple of restaurants within that area. There's the Oshima Sushi, which is pretty good. There's a Panda Express, which is like quick service. It's right by the Walmart that is over there. There's also Buzz Inn Steakhouse, which is like a local kind of steakhouse chain that's not too bad. As far as like stuff to do, there's Loganberry Park, and there's also Emerald City Athletics for a gym. It's a gym that I used to work out at. It's one of the larger gyms in this area, and it's located like right off 99. So just kind of be aware of that. It's not a bad area. Like you've got quick access to a lot of retail off Everett Mall Way being right there, and you've got quick access to I-5 being right up here. It's just like the crime rate around 99 can be higher. So you just want to make sure that you've got your eyes wide open to that as you're kind of like, analyzing where you want to live at and if this is a place that meets the criteria that you have or not. There's a couple of schools in this area as well. There's Challenger Elementary School, which is not bad. There's Explorer Middle School, and finally Aces High School. If you go like further down, you'll actually hit Mariner High School if you go far enough south. But that's kind of an overview of the Holly area. The walkability is okay. Like you're just not too many people want to walk off 99, and Evergreen Way there. Like it's not a place that people just go for a stroll typically. Like it's not like you're in a downtown, like modern environment. You're off like a very, very busy road. Highway 99 is extremely busy. It's a 4-lane road, 5 lanes if you count the turn lane. So it's a very, very busy thoroughfare way there, and it can get just very congested and very busy. So if you're okay with that, then great. If not, then look elsewhere. But if you're commuting, then obviously really, really ideal. And you can see Painfield is like right there. Painfield's like in your backyard almost for flying out of, and also for access to Boeing. Like if you work at Boeing, maybe not a bad place to look at. Next up is the Lowell area. So you can see like North Everett is right up here. And Lowell, there's Lowell Park, which is a pretty well-known park in Everett, and the Lowell neighborhood is actually right there. So very close to I-5. It's just basically east of it by a skosh. So a lot of that area has freeway noise going on to it. So just be aware of that. You got some really old homes in that area as well. If you're a commuter, it could make sense. I don't want to say it's like not one of the most desirable areas of Everett, but it's just really not. Some people like Lowell and other people don't. Typically you can find some lower priced homes there, which is good for value. It's just not it's not anywhere close to the most desirable neighborhoods. It's not going to be anywhere near the top 10. So if that's what your budget dictates as you're looking for homes, then by all means take a harder look at Lowell. You're going to find some affordability there, some homes under $500,000 even still. But just be aware I-5 is right there in your backyard. So you very well could experience some road noise. And if you're touring homes in Lowell, make sure that you're looking for that, because it can be really hard to resell a home if you buy a home that backs up to I-5, if there's massive road noise, things like that. You just want to make sure you're very careful about that and make sure it's not too bad. Okay, that's Lowell. Everett Waterfront. So you can see I'm pretty zoomed out right here. I just pay attention to this kind of grayed out area. That's the naval base, and the waterfront area is just north of that. Okay, so as I scroll in, you can kind of see there's the naval station, naval complex. This is all off limits to the public. But then when you come in closer, you can see, okay, there's actually quite a bit down here. There's Scuttlebutt Brewing up there on the water. There's Anthony's Home Port. There's also the wood fire right next to it. So we can zoom a little bit more to show you that. There's also Lombardi's over there, which is really good Italian dining. So there's a lot of good options for food down here. And it's got that fun waterfront experience. So if you're into that waterfront dining experience, which is very Northwest, because that's what we do with seafood, then definitely worth coming down here. Go down to the waterfront area and at least check it out. It might not be where you end up living at, but if you live in Everett, then you're probably going to want to come down here fairly often for dinner and just hanging out and whatever else. They have this Hotel Indigo right here that you can see is really new. It's a nice modern hotel, and it's been part of this entire waterfront redevelopment plan. They've had this whole area that's kind of shaded out here in this yellow color is part of that waterfront redevelopment area in Everett. And it's had a lot of development going on. There's a lot of more retail that's coming on up there. It rolls into the Everett Marina, where people dock their boats. And it's just a really fun, cool area. It's very modern. It's very new. There's some great dining there. Like I said, Scuttlebutt Brewing is definitely one of the options. Blue Water Distillery is really fun. They make their own gin, their own vodka. I believe they make their own whiskey as well. They make some really tasty craft cocktails. So if that's your jam and you also want to have some snacks, they have some really tasty appetizers there. Really fun place to go for happy hour. Check out Blue Water Distillery for sure. My wife and I love that area. So definitely worth looking at. Maybe not the place you end up living at, but you should definitely be aware that it's there in Everett. There are some apartments and condos that are being built down there. No idea when that's going to hit the market, but something worth just kind of keeping an eye on. Right up the hill from here, in this neighborhood above, kind of by where Colby is at, you'll notice there's a huge medical kind of center up there. There's Providence, which is the big hospital in Everett. And there's also Seattle Children's North Clinic. Seattle Children's is a really big hospital down in Seattle. And they've got a north branch up here in Everett. And so this is it takes up literally blocks of downtown Everett in that area. That's kind of looming right above the waterfront area. So the waterfront area, I think, is really cool. I think it's really worth going to check out. Great place to go for a date or for a Sunday afternoon or something, go out for lunch. Just a fun experience, and it's really modern and just clean. Okay, Pinehurst Beverly Park is the next one I want to go over with you. You can see it's right here. It's north of the Boeing Highway 526. Painfield is down here to the south and the west. But if I kind of zoom in, this is another one of those neighborhoods. It's kind of sandwiched between I-5 and Evergreen Way, otherwise known as Highway 99. So there's some cool houses in here, some older, remodeled, nicer homes. But again, it's sandwiched in between two busy roads, the busiest road in the state, and then just a really busy, way that people like busy arterial road basically. So just something to be aware of. There's some good dining in there. Lana Thai restaurant is maybe the best Thai restaurant in Everett, so definitely worth looking at. Burger Master, if you're looking for like a quick service burger concept. Mimo's Mexican restaurant is worth looking at. There is a Safeway as well that is in there. Couple of gyms to check out also. As far as like walkability goes, I mean, again, like it's just a question, do you want to walk from a residential neighborhood onto a busy street, which is Highway 99? Because most of your retail is found off of Evergreen Way. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Like a lot of these other areas are not going to have your restaurants and things like that. So there's the Safeway down there, just so you can get an idea for it. A little bit further south, Matt, is this Evergreen Asian market, which is kind of a big deal too. Like it's supposed to be really good for the Asian style food. So worth looking at for sure. But that's Pinehurst, Beverly Park. There is this tiny little lake called Beverly Lake. It's not very large, but it is there. So, but most of your activities are going to be happening off Evergreen Way there as far as restaurants and retail goes. Okay, next up is Port Gardner, and I'll just kind of like zoom out and show you where this is at. So Port Gardner is this area right here. North Everett and downtown historic Everett is up there. So it kind of like bleeds into the Bayside area and into downtown historic Everett. The most notable thing about Port Gardner is just the amount of like offices that are kind of off Broadway. As I zoom in, like there's Rutger, there's Broadway, and in between are tons of offices, like attorneys' offices, medical offices. There's a really big Everett clinic right there. Like that's one of the most primary Everett clinics that there is in the whole county. So that's a big draw to that particular area. There's also Funko Field, which is where the minor league baseball team plays, the Aqua Sox. So that's kind of cool. And there's sometimes events going on there. Definitely worth going out there for a game during the summertime. Really, really fun for the family. And then if you go north just a little bit, you'll actually see Angel of the Wind's kind of center there. That's like a stadium, like an inside stadium, basically, where they do concerts and where the minor league hockey team plays, things like that. That's what it looks like inside. You can kind of see that. Again, really a fun experience. Like go to a hockey game. There's a lot of fun to check out. We've done that with our kids. They really liked it. And it's got concerts and stuff going on there all the time. So around Angel of the Winds is a lot of different like just smaller mom and pop type restaurants. Whereas when you start to go towards the Aqua Sox Funko Field area, you start to get like a lot of corporate kind of chains. Like there's like an IHOP down there. There's like a Quiznos Subs, things like that. So that's kind of like a breakdown of the Port Gardner area. As far as like real estate goes, this is on a big slope. Like the highest point is, as you get towards the water, like up in this area, and then it slopes down towards the water at that point. But so this is all on a big hill and kind of bottoms out as you get closer to I-5. So most of this is going to be on sloping topography for real estate. A lot of it's going to have road noise from I-5. Some of the neighborhoods are not bad. Definitely some good walkability here. Like you can walk into downtown if you want to. You can walk to the events at the arenas and things like that. So if walkability is important to you, Port Gardner could definitely be a place that you possibly take a look at. There's also Jackson Elementary School there, and Sequoia High School is in that area as well. So could be an area that you take a look at. Rucker Mansion is just down the road over there. It's like a historic house that's there. That's kind of fun to drive by and check out. But go to like a game at the Aqua Sox Stadium, watch the minor league baseball team, or go to a minor league hockey game at the Angel of the Winds arena there and just see what it's all about. It's really cool. There's a picture of Funko Field for you. Beautiful place. We've thrown some client events there. It's just a really fun area. Okay, Riverside was the one I wanted to discuss next. It's like right on the toe of downtown Everett, kind of tucked right up against I-5. I-5 runs over Riverside, not through it. So like it's not something that's going to be like right at your surface level. It's actually like running up above you. So just be aware of that. But Riverside is interesting because it's a big like redevelopment area. Like it's down by the river down there, by the Snohomish River. And this area, like this kind of like bulging area, used to be a landfill like way long ago, and it's since got cleaned up. And then they put hundreds of new houses down there starting in 2017 through 2019. And there's a bunch of polygon built townhomes and single family homes down there. Kind of a cool area. And again, it's like around the river, so it's really beautiful. You can walk from here into downtown Everett if you want to, so that's definitely an option. There is a train track you had to go over to get into the neighborhood, but that's not the end of the world. Sometimes you get stuck just waiting there. There's a lot of commercial that's planned to be built down there. Like restaurants, retail, things like that. Some apartment buildings have started going up down there as well. But this is an area to keep your eye on because this is going to be a major like urban village type vibe over the next 5 to 10 years for Everett. So it could get really interesting. It's got really good views of the mountains too. When you look, back over towards Lake Stevens and Snohomish, you'll see Pilchuck Mountain rising up over there. The best restaurant that's walking distance from Riverside is definitely Terracotta Red. Really great Asian food. They do like great Thai food and things like that. 100% worth looking at. There's also a great sushi place. That's, I think it's called Sakura. That's like right next to it as well. Really, really good as well. So Terracotta Red and the sushi place, walking distance to Riverside, absolutely worth checking out. Creeks is kind of like a smallish little neighborhood area. It's located right here. This and Cascade View are kind of hard to get to a little bit. Like they're just kind of in strange locations. So if you like walkability, maybe not the best thing for you. There's like the south side of Evergreen Way. So like you do have some access to get up to Everett Mall. I talked about Everett Mall earlier when I talked about the Cascade View neighborhood. There's a Regal Cinema that's right there, and there's a lot of redevelopment coming on. Costco is not far away. It's over in the Silver Lake area. This is like Twin Creeks is basically just barely west of Silver Lake. Like Silver Lake is the east side of I-5. Twin Creeks is kind of like the west side, if that makes sense. So there's just some corporate dining when it comes to Twin Creeks, like Buffalo Wild Wings. You gotta go up to the mall to find it. So there's not a lot there beyond just some neighborhoods to talk about. All right, I wanted to talk about the View Ridge-Madison area for just a second here. As you can see, like 526 is the Boeing Highway. It's going to be north of Evergreen, which is the community right above that I talked about earlier, and there's View Ridge right there. Okay, so if I like zoom in on it, you'll see there's not really a ton there. Like this is just basically a neighborhood. There's not a lot of infrastructure there. There's nice neighborhood to walk around, really pleasant, definitely like safe-ish area, for sure. Especially as like it kind of gets up towards Muckletoo Boulevard there. But there's some nice homes in View Ridge. It's not like a real true like urban area. It's just more of like a neighborhood, with like sidewalks and houses and things like that. There's not really infrastructure there beyond that. That's like in that imminent area. If you drive it just a few minutes north, south, east, or west, you got plenty of options, but they're just not tucked in that particular neighborhood. All right. Westmont is an area I want to talk about also. This is like one of the more dangerous areas of Everett. Like you need to be careful in this area. There's the golf course there, Walter Hall, right in that area. But this is Casino Road and this is Highway 99. And so there's a lot of low income housing in this area. There's a Fred Meyer right there, which is a little bit sketchy. Like I've shopped there a few times and there's been drug issues with people in the bathrooms there, things like that. So just be really careful when you're looking at Westmont. Like it's an okay area if you're just trying to find like an inexpensive condo to buy. It's not an area like if you're a single lady, you're going to maybe want to go walk out around night. Just like maybe not the best for that. It is easy for commuting. Like there's a lot of quick ways to get to I-5 and get out of that area. But just the security and safety of Westmont in general concerns me. So there's a few restaurants in there, just corporate stuff. There's Little Caesars, there's Casa del Dorado, which is Mexican. There's Yummy Deli, which is of course sandwiches. There's that Fred Meyer I mentioned. Cash Park is over there. Definitely, it's like the park to look at if you're in Westmont and you want to go have a park experience. And then you've got Horizon Middle School. Or Horizon Elementary School as well, and Explore Middle School right down there. So again, like if your price point, if this is all it will allow, then sure, look at it. But there's typically going to be a lot safer areas that are going to have more stable house prices as well, if you know what I'm saying. I promised you in the beginning of this video that I would share my personal favorite neighborhood and the one that I had lived in myself. I've lived in a couple different areas in Everett. I've lived over by Highway 99 when we had a condo over there. And I also lived in Silver Lake, when our kids were younger, like they were like 5 and 7 years old, I want to say. So Silver Lake is my top choice for Everett. And it's my top choice for a bunch of reasons. This is the area of Silver Lake right here. Like it basically runs into Mill Creek on the south and it runs into Snohomish on the north. It's just a really great area. Like it was built in the 80s and 90s. So a lot of the homes in here, like they just have big, generous lots. Like think like 12,000 square foot lots. Think like 90s style, kind of grandiose type homes, like curved staircases in the entry, just beautiful properties, beautiful homes, and the neighborhoods just flow really well. There's parks, there's sidewalks. It's super walkable as far as a neighborhood goes. It's not as walkable for like walking just to restaurants, but for just walking around neighborhoods, it's really hard to beat. It's super safe, and it's really stable on home prices as well. So I love the Silver Lake area. It's definitely my top choice if you can afford it. It's not like crazy expensive. It's just a really nice place to live. If you can afford, like, as of the making of this video, if you can afford like $700,000 to $800,000, you can definitely afford to live in Silver Lake. There's a couple like sub neighborhoods to Silver Lake, like Eastmont, like Seattle Hill Road, things like that. Silver Firs as well. But it's all generally the Silver Lake area. Okay. There's a Costco that is over there, so it's really convenient for shopping. There's some really good dining. Emery's on Silver Lake is really cool. Like, this is Silver Lake right here itself. And there's Emery's restaurant right there, which is owned by Anthony's. Really good steaks, seafood. It's just like really tasty, great quality restaurant. It's a good place to go for a date night or a special occasion. Definitely recommend checking that out. There's also El Pariso Mexican, which was our favorite that we would go to often when we lived in Silver Lake. Absolutely worth checking out as well. As far as like shopping, I mentioned Costco. There's also a Winco. There's also Fred Meyer. There's also a Safeway. So there's a lot of shopping in this area. For gyms, Anytime Fitness and Move Fitness, MUV, you can see on the map right there, are definitely like the go-to gyms in that area. That's always something that's important to me. Thornton Sullivan Park is one of the areas that people definitely will go recreate at. And then schools, you got Monroe Elementary, Silver Lake Elementary, Eisenhower Middle School, all pretty decent schools. So that's Silver Lake in a nutshell. Highly recommend checking it out. Hands down my favorite neighborhood in Everett. I just love the location of it. I loved living there. I'd live there again.
So there you have it. Everett really at a deep level. Like, if you're thinking about Everett, hopefully after watching this video, you have a better understanding of the neighborhoods and what you like and what you don't like, and you better figure out exactly where you want to live at. If you're thinking about buying or selling a house in Snohomish County, of course, we would love to help you. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we're the top team in Snohomish County for real estate. We have 7 of the top agents in our market, and we'd love, of course, to be a resource for you, whether you're thinking about buying or selling a home. You can click the link below and you can schedule a Zoom call with me just to have a casual, free conversation with no commitment required about what your goals are, and see if we can be a good fit to possibly help you accomplish those goals. Even if you're 6 to 12 months out from thinking about making a move, that's typically when we like to start the process and at least having a conversation. Buying a home or selling a home is a very big financial decision. It's a process that really rewards planning and preparation. So definitely want to get ahead of that as far as scheduling goes. Don't wait till the last minute. If you've got questions about other areas in Snohomish County as well, we've got a whole bunch of other videos breaking down the different communities, different cities, neighborhoods, restaurants, you name it. We've got a video on it, or we'll be making a video on it. So of course, reach out when you're thinking about buying and selling, and look forward to talking to you.